Question. What is meant by the question, who am I? Once it is clear that I is an abstraction of thought conjured from the past, projected into the present, the age-old question of who am I, or the statement, know thyself, takes on a fundamentally different meaning. Because at this point, it's been noticed that the entity which seeks to know itself is an abstraction of thought, the past. So that which is observed presently would then be unendingly distorted by thought, or time. And so, when there is no seeker called me, what is there to be observed? The human organism is a natural creature of the universe. Therefore, we are no more special than the flies, the dogs, the trees, the fish, the ocean, or the stars. All are distinctions of energy. These distinctions are necessary for daily living, in the same way that the words we use are necessary for communication. But one must be clear about the fact that the human distinction, with all its capacities and latencies, is not a superior creature. And this is the human fallacy. What makes us feel so special is the idea alone. The idea, conditioned and or inherited, that one is fundamentally separate from. So what does all this mean? It means I is dissolved not through practice, but upon reflection. As stated previously, it's all energy. Therefore, everything is fundamentally one thing. So what? So everything, everyone, is a mirror. Therefore, only distinctions, no separation. So what? So the wars, the bickering, the gangs, the tribes, the nations, the organizations, the politics, the groups, the cliques, the classes, the races, all fundamentally stem from the idea of being separate from, stems from me. Because what a culture or society is in conduct is directly and necessarily related to the internal perceptions or framework of the individuals of said culture or society. One creates a nation or a group in order to feel more secure in the world, but this action, birthed from an individual whom in oneself is divided, necessarily creates global insecurity, us versus them. And so, one may ask, what does the word individual mean? Individual means indivisible or inseparable. Apply this literal meaning to the way we actually live, and one notices a startling fact. We are not, in any true sense of the word, individuals. So what is a true individual? A true individual can no longer identify with all the fractions, because this one would have noticed the devastation the fractions have brought on the world, and upon observation of the fact, would be completely dissolved from any group identification, which means necessarily dissolved of any deeply ingrained sense of me or self. A true individual is a whole human being. This does not point to peace or bliss in any way a guru may try to sell you, but rather an actual sense of deep responsibility or reflective conscientiousness. So one notices one's relationship to the universe as non-separate. What then is meant by the age-old question, who am I? It is apparent that the flower, when its nature is unobstructed, transforms perfectly into itself. It's the same for the puppy, the caterpillar, etc. Humans, as we grow, are constantly obstructed. As a child, our natural expressions are obstructed by the external, parents, school, friends, etc. Then, once that nonsense is conditioned, we become our own obstructions due to the limitations of and identification with thought itself. And so, we get in the way of our own flowering, so to speak, our own natural growth. There can be no natural growth for the human being if thought is not put in its right place in daily living and understood to have its own limitations. And so, the question, who am I, or the statement, know thyself, actually points to the intelligence of nature. And it is thought, the idea of me, which distorts said intelligence into an ideological quest to find an abstract and static entity, that which does not exist. And so further, it's revealed that what is paramount is not finding self, but understanding one's nature. And so we circle back to the question, what is meant by the question, who am I? Answer, who am I is a distortion of the question, what is one's nature? Be still with all this. Reflect, and of course, take it easy.